Weber and Rice, reinterpreting one of the most important stories of history, Jesus Christ Superstar combines the ancient with the modern. In 1968, after the success of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, they pitched an idea to tell the story of Jesus Christ through the eyes of Judas in a contemporary rock music. They were told that this was the worst idea in history, but they were determined. They wanted to make it work. Rock opera was in the process of being born. Tommy had just been done by The Who. They wanted to experiment with the narrative ability of rock and roll. They thought it would work for Superstar. Now today, many people don't like Lloyd Webber's work, but the composer of Superstar is very different from the Lloyd Webber who wrote Phantom of the Opera. When he began his career 30 years ago, he wrote in the rock and roll idiom, a musical language he knew and loved. In 1968, they released 2 singles, I Don't Know How to Love Him and Jesus Christ Superstar, which were huge hits in Britain. In 1970, they released the double album, and radio stations played it without commercials, and it was a huge hit in the US. I would get together with my friends, we would find an empty classroom in school, and we would put on the record and act out all the parts. We'd jump and dance and sing. We were like crazy people. We loved this music. It was so intense and cathartic. I remember that Brown album very well. The show opened on Broadway on October 12, 1971, directed by Tom O'Horgan of Hair fame. The composers and the critics felt, though, that the show was overproduced and they weren't happy with it. The music of Superstar is conventional, both harmonically and melodically, but there's also a cockiness of youth in both the music and the lyrics. Rice and Lloyd Webber could not have written this show when they were 40. This material had to have the feel of youthful arrogance and rebellion to give the voice to the radical young activists Jesus and Judas. Now here is Josh Young as Judas.
My mind is clearer now. At last, all too well, I can see where we all soon will be. If you strip away the myth from the man, you will see where we all soon will be.
Judas did not think of himself as a traitor. As far as what Christ was saying, general principles on how human beings should live together, Judas approved of this. What Judas worried about was that as Christ got bigger and bigger and more popular, people began switching their attentions from what Christ was saying to Christ himself. They were saying he was the Messiah. In setting the story of Judas's betrayal of Jesus for the modern stage, lyricist Tim Rice approached the story as a political history instead of Bible scripture. Jesus was a radical political activist mirroring the times rather than the Son of God, but the crowds loved him, as we can hear in the next song. Researching the show, I was brought right back to 1971 when I saw this clip. This is before body mics, and these people were basically doing a rock concert. So it all came back to me. I remember they had to use real microphones with long cords, and these had to be navigated around the stage. They covered the microphones with like straw and tried to make them look like wood. But I remember I was always watching it. I was afraid somebody would trip over a cord. Also, hearing the music live for the first time was a very intense and overpowering feeling. Now, with this song, the crowd presses Jesus to cure them and help them. He's overwhelmed, and Mary Magdalene tries to soothe him. Now, here's another very famous song, and it's of her unrequited love. How do you love a man who believes that he's God? Here is Jeff Fenholt and the lovely, lovely Yvonne Elliman.
Try not to get worried, try not to turn on to problems that upset you. Don't you know everything's alright, yes, everything's fine.
And I think I shall sleep well tonight. Let the world turn without me tonight.
Close your eyes and relax. Think of nothing tonight. I don't know how to love him, what to do, how to move him. I've been changed, yes, really changed. In these past few days, when I've seen myself, I seem like someone else. I don't know how to take this. I don't see why he moves me. He's a man. He's just a man. And I've had so many men before. Very many ways. He's just one more. Should I bring?
Jesus has some doubts in the biblical version of the story. Those doubts are articulated so completely and so intensely in the show that they sounded to some like blasphemy. Now here's Paul Nolan. He's in concert here, but he played Christ in the terrific 2012 revival.
But if I die, see this saga through and do the things you ask of me. Let them hate me, hit me, hurt me, nail me to their tree. I'd wanna know, my God. I'd wanna know, my God. I'd wanna see, my God. I'd wanna see, my God. Why I should die? Would I be more noticed than I ever was before? Would the things I've said and done matter anymore? I'd have to know, my Lord. I'd have to know, my Lord. Have to see, I'd have to see, my Lord. Have to see, I'd have to see, my Lord. If I die, what will be my reward? If I die, what will be my reward? I have to know, my Lord. Have to know, my Lord. Why should I die?
knows that Christ may not be going on the right direction, so he decides to turn him in, but he fears that if he's wrong, he'll be damned for all time. He was used all this time as a pawn in God's game. He turns all of his anger over to God, who used him. Here's Josh Young.
I have been spattered with innocent blood. I shall be dragged through the slime and the slime and the slime and the mud. I don't know how to love him. I don't know why he moves me. He's a man. He's just a man. He is not a king. He is just the same as anyone. I know he scares me so. When he's cold and dead, will he let me be? Does he love? Does he love me too? Does he care for me?
This is a story of deep and profound human emotion, filled with passion, betrayal, politics, and even death. This is the stuff of great drama.
Can you stay quiet? I don't believe you understand.
You have nothing in your hands. Any power you have comes to you from far beyond. Everything is fixed, and you can't change it.
You're a fool, Jesus Christ.
How can I help?
Crucify him, crucify him, remember Caesar, remember the peace, so crucify him, remember Caesar, remember the Moses, remember the Moses, crucify him, remember Caesar, remember the duty, remember the peace, so crucify him, remember Caesar, remember the Moses, remember the Forte, crucify him, remember Caesar, remember the duty, remember the peace, so crucify him, remember Caesar, remember the Moses, remember the Forte, crucify him.
Don't let me stop your great self-destruction. Die if you want to, you misguided matter. I wash my hands of your demolition. Die if you want to, you innocent
The biggest hit in the show was the song Jesus Christ Superstar. It sums up so many of the main questions. Who was Jesus? Is it possible to separate the myth from the man? Jesus Christ Superstar caused a big scandal when it was released. It was banned by the BBC and a lot of church groups. The single, though, sold so well all over the world. Judas asks what so many people still ask today. How can, with so many different religions, all claim to have only one truth? The title Jesus Christ Superstar explains the reason for Judas's betrayal. The stardom, the superstardom, the hype, the glory became more important than his message. Jesus is crucified at the end. Hello, this is George again. This show really shook me up, man. It brought me back to my youth, back to when, seeing Hair and then Jesus Christ Superstar, and being a teenager, you felt rebellious against your parents and authority. I think we felt like this is ours. We have our own voice now, and it's new. Now, please like, subscribe, check out the links. This was so exciting to revisit the show, and I hope you enjoy it. It was a very important show in my youth. I wish I could show you a clip of Ben Vareen. I remember he took over the whole stage with his huge talent, but here is the great and charismatic Josh Young.
What you think about your friends at the top? Who'd you think besides yourself was a pick of the crop? Who knows he where it's at? Is he where you are? Could Mohammed move a mountain, or was that just PR? Did you mean to die like that? Was that a mistake? Or did you know your messy death would be a record breaker? Don't you get me wrong. Don't you get me wrong now. Don't you get me wrong. Don't you get me wrong. Only wanna know. Only wanna know. Only wanna know. I only wanna know.
Jesus Christ.
You have heard that it has been said that you should love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemy. Bless them that curse. Do good to them that hate you. Pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute